There are a lot of organizing methods out there, and most, including this one, have the basic things in common. You're going to go through all your stuff, say goodbye to some of it, and rearrange what's left, hopefully in a more beautiful and meaningful way. But if you're new to decluttering and organizing, you may not know how to start or what the process looks like. So if you want to come out on the other side of the organizing process with a meaningful result and some new skills, here's my 10-point method for organizing success. I'm professional organizer Lisa Archilla Sims, and welcome to Bee and Peacock Organizing. So this channel is all about taking a deeper look into the decluttering and organizing process, and I'm also passionate about good design and good product. So if that sounds interesting to you, please click subscribe and also the bell so you get notified of the latest videos. I was a designer at the Container Store for 7 years before starting my own business in 2017. And I've worked with a lot of people over the years. And a good many of them I've watched begin to declutter and organize, only to start to feel overwhelmed with all the product choices and the process itself. I think primarily it's because we don't look at the big picture ideas first. We skip to the fun part of buying the gadgets and the pretty bins. The problem is, unless you really have an understanding of what's not working and a vision for what the space could be, you really don't change the situation. So even if you go through the process of going through your stuff and eliminating some of it, you don't really have a different space, just a less full one. This is a comprehensive and proven method that gives you the information you need for a successful outcome. And it's going to save you time and money because it's going to weed through the solutions and the products that aren't going to work for your particular situation. And that enables you to focus your attention and your energy into a smaller goal, which is so much less stressful and way more efficient. And this method is going to work for a drawer all the way up to a whole house. So let's get started. This is a 10-step method. The first 3 steps have to do with those big picture ideas that I was mentioning before, and they're super important. Do not skip these first 3 steps. They're going to be the basis for every decision that you make moving forward. So our first step is assessing what's not working with the space. So is what's not working a structural issue, like things are on the floor because there's no shelves or hooks or racks? Or is it a systems related issue, like the way you do something in your home? For instance, the way you and your family handle laundry or paperwork in an office. So it's really important to understand what's not working and be super clear about that, because you want to bring a solution to the real issue of the space. Good organizing actually makes things function better. It's not just tidying up. Step 2 is creating a vision for the space. And one of the biggest parts of this is every space, whether it's a drawer or a closet or a room, functions better when it has a designated purpose. And that's really important in this process. So decide what this space is about, and then decide what you want it to look and feel like. So let's go with feel. So what do you want this space when you come into it to feel like? Do you want it to perhaps be light, open, clear, uncluttered, just happy, calm, peaceful? And then what do you want it to look like? Do you want it to be like pretty, which could be anything to anybody, colorful, muted? Do you want it to look empty, spacious? Do you want it to look homey and comfortable? You get to decide all those things, but it's really important that you make those decisions up front, because again, these big picture ideas are going to guide your choices and your decisions as we move through the process. So step 3, you need to consider your budget. Now, do you have a set number that you are going to max out at? Is this an open-ended thing? I really encourage you to come up with a solid budget number of what you're able and willing to spend, and then stick to that. This is like everything else where you're going to go shop and you're going to get excited about things. But if you stick with your original goal, you will come out a lot better, because it will focus your attention on the solutions and the products that will work for you within your price point. Now, another thing you can do though is spread out your project over a couple of months and just do a little bit at a time. And that way you can sometimes afford to do more than you would have if you were doing it all at once. And another option is you may want to just hire a professional organizer. And obviously that costs more money, but you are going to save a lot of time and a lot of energy, because a professional organizer is going to be shopping, researching, what's best for your situation, setting up the design. They're going to do turnkey. So if time is really important to you, it may be worth a little bit more money in the budget. Okay, so steps 4 through 6 are a little more action-oriented, and they are the heart of the decluttering and organizing process. So step 4 is categorize your contents. So literally, whatever space you're working on, you are going to take everything in that space and just pull it out, divide it into like categories. So for instance, if you were working in a garage, you would have categories like sporting goods, toys. If you have a pool, you always have the pool stuff. You'll have tools, lawn and garden. You might have your seasonal decor. Whatever is in the garage, you want to make into these categories. And this process at this moment is not about making decisions. It's just about making piles. So literally, just don't think, just put it in a category and get it sorted that way. And if it is a big space like a garage or like a bedroom size space, you're going to need a place to kind of stage this so it's not in everybody's way. And it may take you a day or two to do this. Depends on how much stuff you've got. So just kind of plan for that ahead of time. So step 5 is culling things that are no longer wanted or needed. So you've made all these great categories. We're now going to take one category at a time. I would start with the one that feels the easiest to you, and you're just going to look through that category and pull out the things that you are ready to say goodbye to. And I would suggest that you have 4 either containers or just spaces in the house that you're going to take these allocated items. So one would be keep, the other one would be donate, the third would be recycle or trash, and then the fourth is what I call to do. And it just means that anything in that pile needs an action taken. So it could be that it needs to be returned or repaired, or actually designated as a gift or something for somebody in your family. So step 6 is really just making an effort to get all of the things that you're saying goodbye to out of the house quickly. So I would set up a place for all the things you're going to donate, and also things that might need to go to recycling or off-site. And I would actually make that trip to take those things within 1 or 2 days of this process. It'll make a huge difference when you actually see the things leaving your house and you feel the space open up. Steps 7 through 10 are about design. So now you're actually going to start making your plan, your layout, and do some shopping. And I would actually really like to know what you think about shopping. Truly think about it. Is it enjoyable to you to get out and do all the shopping for the organizing product, or does it feel overwhelming? I'd love to know. So let me know in the comments section. Step number 7 is about determining the best location for each of your categories. And the reason the categorizing and culling is so important is because it shows you the volume, how much stuff you have in each of those categories. So you might want to look at where you're currently housing it. Does it still make sense for it to be there? Is it a good proximity to how it's being used? Also, because of the size of the category, Does it really fit where you have it? If it's taking up a lot of space, there may be something else that's a better fit for that space. Or maybe you now realize that you had a lot more of that category than you thought you did, and you need to relocate it to a different place. Another really important part of this is that you do not want to split the locations of a category. I can't tell you how important that is. So what happens with people is when things are in two different locations, you tend to forget about the second or third location, and you end up buying more stuff because you think you're out of it. So do not split categories. So step 8 is design the best layout to organize your space. You've created these categories, you know the location now, it's just a matter of fine-tuning how they're going to be housed. So a couple of tips: you want to make sure that the most frequently used items are the easiest to get to. And a rule of thumb is that between your shoulders and your knees is prime real estate. So anything that you don't use very often needs to go up higher or down low by the floor. Another thing that you might look for is if you're using drawers, make sure that the drawer has enough space to come out all the way. And this sometimes is a problem when you try to put drawers into closets. So I'll give you a heads up about that. Another thing is don't forget to use doors and walls. You don't want to have any dead space if you can help it. So using hooks and over the door, like wall mounted hooks or over the door hooks, is a great solution. Command hooks are great. And obviously wall space going up using your vertical space is really important. So at that point you may need to do shelves. Could be wall mounted or freestanding, but explore all of your options. And I will add at this point, if you are doing a big project, like you're going in and changing the structure, you're redoing shelving and cabinet and things like that, then I really do encourage you to get a professional design first. And if you're going with someplace like California Closets or the Container Store, the design is free. It's part of their process. So it's really a great way to go. Okay, so step 9 is product. And most people begin this whole process with product, but you'll notice it's number 9 on our list, and that's not a coincidence. There's no way that you could know what you needed to buy until you've gone through this process, but you have now, and so here we are, and it's the fun part. So there's a couple of things that you need to know about shopping. First of all, measure, measure, measure. If shelving is your layout and your design, then you obviously need to know the depth, the width, and the distance between shelves if you're going to be adding containers of any kind. If you're using drawers, you need to know if the drawer is actually going to hold what you want it to. And I know that sounds obvious, but if you're doing drawers for shoes, for instance, shoes come in several different heights. Not only men's and women's, but also just within women's. And so you need to make sure that a shoe drawer or a shoe box actually holds your shoes. So I can't tell you enough to measure. And also look at the quality of the product, because you don't want to invest this money and it wears out and breaks in a year or so. So sometimes it's worth a little bit more money to get a better quality product. And my biggest advice about shopping for organizing product is stick to your plan. Only buy what really works for your space. You've just gone through this whole process. You know what you need. You've measured. You know your plan, your layout. Stick to the plan and don't buy anything that's not going to work according to your specs. And finally, step 10 is evaluating how the system is working and readjusting as needed. So you've gone through a lot of this process to make an ideal situation, but you really won't know until you use it. And you'll know in a couple of days. So if you've set up a new way of doing things, if it doesn't feel intuitive and easy to use within maybe 3, 4, 5 days, then you just need to go back in and adjust it a little bit. You'll know if you like it or not. And the other thing is, life happens. Things change. If you set up your pantry and then 6 months from now, you have a dietary issue or a change where you are bringing a whole different category of food into the house and it has different size shapes of containers, then you're going to need to adjust the pantry. Good design builds in expansion and flexibility. So when you're making your design, you want to always leave a little space. Every shelf, every drawer should not be completely full, because you may need to add some things later on and you don't want to have to redo your whole system just for that. This is a proven method that works. But my best advice to you is don't get lost in the mechanics. Organizing is a wonderfully creative process, and each one of these 10 steps has the ability to help you tap into your fun, creative, problem-solving, alive self. So have fun with it. I know this is a lot of information, so I have created a PDF for you to use as a resource. Just click on the link below and you can print that out as you need. Thank you so much for watching. If this content was helpful, please click the like button, and I'd love to have you as a subscriber, and also click the bell so you get notified of the latest videos. I have 2 other playlists that I think you will find helpful: organizing design and organizing products. And you can also check out my latest organizing projects on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks again for watching, and happy organizing.